Hey, what's up everyone? It's Warren, and we have the Avengers Endgame Prelude number 2 now. Now, much like the first Avengers Endgame Prelude comic that we got, this doesn't really tell us too much about Avengers Endgame. It's more of a recap of what happened during the events of Avengers Infinity War. There is a nice message from Stan Lee at the end, so be sure to stick around so you can see that. But this is essentially Avengers Infinity War in a comic. So I'm going to go through it, I'm going to show each page because I know some people can't get comics. There's a few things that are a little bit different and a few things that get a little bit of clarification to them, so I'll talk about them and I'll go through it like I said. But for the most part, this is a recap of the middle part of Avengers Infinity War. The first prelude that came out was a recap of the first part. This is going to be the second part, and the next prelude will be the third part because there are 3 prelude comics. So this prelude actually starts off with a tribute to Stan Lee. It shows a picture of him and below it says Stan Lee, 1922 to 2018. He will definitely be missed very, very much. So the last Avengers Endgame Prelude comic ended with the Scarlet Witch and Vision fighting Corvus Glaive in Proxima Midnight, right before Captain America shows up. So the second prelude starts off with Captain America, Falcon, and Black Widow showing up. They defeat Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight, but of course they get away. They all get on the Quinjet and Captain America says to go home. We then go to the flashback scene where Thanos and Gamora meet for the very first time. Thanos wipes out half of the population of her planet, her parents included, and then takes Gamora and raises her. But in this strip, we actually get some more clarification on just how Thanos would wipe out half of these planets' populations when he went planet to planet. Ebony Maw is instructing the people on the planet. He says, Zehobarians, choose a side or die. One side is a revelation, the other an honor known only to a few. So as we saw in Infinity War, they have the people choose a side. One side lives, the other side dies. And the honor that Ebony Maw is talking about is death, dying at the hands of Thanos and the children of Thanos. So Thanos wouldn't personally kill half of the population on each planet. He had an army and he had leaders of the army, his children of Thanos. The next scene we get is where Quill promises Gamora that if Thanos gets his hands on her, he'll kill her. They arrive at nowhere, and of course Thanos tricks everybody with the Reality Stone. Gamora tells Quill to kill her, and the two of them say I love you to each other. But of course when Quill fires, only bubbles come out. And right before Thanos leaves with Gamora, he says, I like him. I've always thought that Thanos says this because Star-Lord actually had the guts and a strong enough will to pull the trigger. Because that's why Thanos has set out to balance the universe. He thinks he's the only one with the strong enough will to be able to do it. So I think he kind of respects Quill for being able to pull the trigger, and that's why he says, I like him. We then go to New York in the Avengers compound where Rhodey is talking to Ross. Ross calls Captain America and his team criminals. And of course when Captain America shows up, he says, I'm not looking for forgiveness and I'm way past asking for permission. Earth just lost Tony Stark, so we're here to fight. And if you want to stand in our way, we'll fight you too. Ross tells Rhodey to arrest them, and obviously Rhodey doesn't. Then Bruce Banner shows up and the Avengers have a little reunion. Vision then says that they have to destroy the stone, and Wanda is the only person who can destroy it because she got her powers from the Mind Stone. But Bruce says that there may be a way to separate Vision from the Mind Stone and Vision still be okay, so they head to Wakanda because Bruce doesn't have the technology at the current lab. In Wakanda, Black Panther is preparing his armies for battle and gives Bucky his brand new vibranium arm. We then go to Ebony Maw's ship that has Ebony Maw, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Spider-Man aboard it. Just like in the movie, Ebony Maw is torturing Doctor Strange to try and get the Time Stone from him. Spider-Man pops out and says, hey Tony, guess what? I'm on the ship, and comes up with his alien plan. Tony Stark blasts a hole in the side of the ship, sucking Ebony Maw out into space, but Doctor Strange gets sucked out too, and Spider-Man goes after him. And the words in the comics are actually a little bit different than the words in the movie. Spider-Man says, got him. Whoa, but I didn't think this through. The vacuum is pulling me out too. And that's where we see his Iron Spider-Man legs for the very first time. Doctor Strange tells Tony to turn the ship around, but Tony says he doesn't think they should. He thinks they should bring the fight to him. Strange agrees, but says if it comes down to saving Tony or the kid or the Time Stone, he won't hesitate to let Tony or Spider-Man die. Tony says nice, good moral compass, and then he knights Peter Parker, an Avenger. We then go to Thanos' ship, the Sanctuary 2, where him and Gamora are talking in his throne room. Gamora explains that she hates the ship and she always hated him and that she kidnapped him from her planet. Thanos then says, I saved you. Your planet was dying and on the brink of collapse. People were going to bed hungry every night. But since he balanced it, it's now a paradise. This is where Thanos explains that the universe is unbalanced, it's running out of resources and it needs correcting, and he's the only one that knows and can correct it. But of course he needs the Soul Stone, and he knows that Gamora knows where it is. We then go to the scene where he's torturing Nebula, and eventually Gamora ends up telling him that the Soul Stone is on Vormir. This scene is always oddly nice because we can see that after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Nebula and Gamora actually really care for each other now as sisters, and Gamora is willing to risk Thanos getting the Soul Stone in order to save her sister. We then go to the pod where Thor, Rocket, and Groot are heading to Nidavellir. Thor is explaining Nidavellir to Groot. He says, "Tree, you'll know when we're close. Nidavellir's forge harnesses the blazing power of a neutron star. It's the birthplace of my hammer." Thor explains that once he gets his hammer, he'll be able to defeat Thanos. Fate wills it so. They get to Nidavellir, and Thor automatically knows that something is wrong because the star is out and the forge has gone dark. In this strip, we actually get a pretty good shot at the mold for the Infinity Gauntlet that Eitri made. I've heard that a lot of people actually think that this was an actual Infinity Gauntlet. It was not. It was a mold used to make the real Infinity Gauntlet. Eitri then comes out and explains that Thanos came and demanded that Eitri make him the gauntlet, and then he ended up killing all of his people, and he took away Eitri's hands. Thor gives him a little pep talk and says, "It's not your hands that make you great, but your mind, and together we can defeat Thanos." Eitri says, "I have a mold for a king's weapon, Stormbreaker, meant to be the greatest in Asgard. In theory, it could even summon the Bifrost." I always found it interesting that Eitri says it's meant to be the greatest in Asgard. This would mean that Stormbreaker is stronger than Odin's spear, Gungnir. Now, I'm not saying that Thor is stronger than Odin, I'm just saying in theory Stormbreaker could be stronger than Gungnir. The next comic strip shows Nebula escaping, and she goes to the computer right away. She radios Mantis and says, "Mantis, listen very carefully. I need you to meet me on Titan." So this is how the Guardians of the Galaxy knew to go to Titan, because Nebula told them to. There's actually a deleted scene in Avengers Infinity War where the Guardians of the Galaxy are floating around in space and Mantis is staring at this blinking light. Well, the blinking light is actually the call from Nebula, and it shows the Guardians of the Galaxy receiving Nebula's message and heading out to Titan.
Oh, light.
I'm blinking yellow light. The coded message channel? How long has this been on?
But it was so beautiful.
Mantis! A blinking yellow light indicates an important secret coded message. Shame on you, Mantis. How long? This was your job.
So then the rest of the strip shows Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Iron Man arriving at Titan trying to land the ship. Obviously, they are not too good at flying alien spaceships, so Doctor Strange helps them out by putting a protective barrier around them while they crash. After they crash, Doctor Strange helps Tony up and says, "That was close, I owe you one." And this is where Spider-Man's spidey senses were tingling because he knew that somebody was about to come into the ship. And right when Spider-Man says, "I'm trying to say that something is coming," he gets hit with one of Star-Lord's concussive grenades. And this is where the Guardians of the Galaxy rush onto the ship. Drax starts it off by yelling Thanos and then gets attacked by Doctor Strange's cloak. Star-Lord and Iron Man start fighting, and then Peter Parker runs into Mantis and he thinks she's an alien about to put eggs inside of him. Of course, we know how this ends. Spider-Man webs up Mantis, then Star-Lord grabs a hold of Spider-Man. And then Iron Man goes over and steps on Drax. There are actually some words here that aren't said in the movie. Iron Man says, "Here, Strange, I'll handle him. Sit still, Jolly Green Giant. Now give us back the kid." Star-Lord then puts his gun to Spider-Man's head and tells everybody to chill out. And of course, we know how this scene goes.
Yeah, I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora?
I'll do you one better. Why is Gamora?
And that is actually the last scene in the Avengers Endgame Prelude number 2. So, like I said, it's really just a recap of the middle part of Avengers Infinity War. There wasn't any new information about Avengers Endgame in this prelude, much like the first one. However, it could be different for the Avengers Endgame Prelude number 3. Prelude number 3 will of course wrap up Avengers Infinity War, but will probably have something that ties the ending of Infinity War to the beginning of Avengers Endgame. They usually do that for these preludes, so keep an eye out for Avengers Endgame Prelude number 3. And of course, like I said, there's a message from Stan Lee that I want to end on. It's from Stan's Soapbox, and it says, "Hang loose, heroes. Now that I've got your ear, I'm not letting go. Our first tintinnabulating topic is gonna be the Marvel philosophy. Whenever I get together with any of you frantic ones, the first question posed is usually, what are you fellas really trying to do in your mags? What message are you pushing? Is the whole Marvel series just a big put on, or are you trying to tell us something? Are you actually serious about your characters? Do you really believe in them, etc.? Well, just between us, we believe in our Coverton characters a lot more than we believe in some people we know, and we do have a motive, a purpose behind our mags. The purpose is, plain and simple, to entertain you. We think we found the best formula of all. We merely create the type of fanciful yarns that we ourselves enjoy, and if we like them, you ought to like them too. After all, you're our kind of people. Now then, in the process of providing offbeat entertainment, if we can also do our bit to advance the cause of intellectualism, humanitarianism, and mutual understanding, and toss a little swing and satire at you in the process, that won't break our collective heart one tiny bit. That's it, pussycat. Thanks for listening. Amazing words from an amazing man who we all know and love, and who is responsible for all of the characters that we know and love. And he will be dearly missed. So that's it for the Avengers Endgame Prelude number 2 breakdown. Let me know your thoughts, and like I said, be on the lookout for the Avengers Endgame Prelude number 3. And also, I'm giving away a life-sized Infinity Gauntlet. If you would like to enter the giveaway for your chance to win, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment down below with your thoughts and your favorite superhero. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.